There are choices we make under compulsion. Of late, Russia has been making one such choice. It's terrible. Moscow knows that it is not healthy, but Vladimir Putin has no other option. If he wants to go ahead with his plans for Ukraine, he needs a strong friend by his side who shares an antagonistic relationship with the US. So Russia has been embracing China. Putin hates the sight of Xi Jinping, but he must do so for the larger interests of Russia. And yet, as luck would have it, Putin seems to have more friends than he is aware of. One such friend is Shinzo Abe, and he is rooting for a great alliance between Japan and Russia, which will make China an insignificant entity for Moscow. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra, and in this video I will tell you why former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's recent statements hold geopolitical significance. Let's begin. Russia seems to be pulling its troops back from Ukraine. Tensions remain at an all-time high across Eastern Europe. The Joe Biden administration, which predicted an imminent invasion of Ukraine by Russia on February 16th, has ended up with nothing but egg on its face. The United States, NATO, and its allies have all shifted focus to Russia, while China has been left off the hook. Even Japan has been pulled into the spiraling tensions of Eastern Europe at a time when Tokyo and Moscow were working together to resolve their bilateral differences and form an alliance against China. Yet, Joe Biden's catastrophic foreign policy ended up bringing Russia and China closer than ever. Hey, it's me, Atul. I started this channel. We started small, we went big. Suddenly, the Whitey police was after us. We dodged and ducked, but the algos got us really bad. So we designed our own app. It's free. We never asked for money, we never will. But the droid called us too sensitive and blocked us. We still have an Apple app. Join us and fast, because if you don't, we will cease to exist. Check out the link in the description. You see, Russia has to embrace China out of compulsion rather than choice. China is a tremendous trade partner of Moscow, and at a time when the United States makes it a mission to ruin the Russian economy, China will be the one keeping it afloat. Not having China on its side could take a massive toll on Russia's economy, and therefore a pragmatic Vladimir Putin swallowed his reservations and shook hands with Xi Jinping early this month. In a recent interview with Japan Today, the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said, "I think Japan should use diplomacy to sever the concerted efforts between China and Russia and move ahead with improving its ties with Russia." Yes, Shinzo Abe actually said this. He called for increased Japanese diplomatic efforts with Moscow, which would help to undercut the growing Chinese influence in Russia. Shinzo Abe has made it pretty clear. Moscow's growing ties with Beijing need to be severed, and Japan needs to play a big role in doing so. You see, Shinzo Abe knows Vladimir Putin is forging an alliance with China out of compulsion. Putin does not want to lose access to the Chinese market, and Shinzo Abe knows this. So the alternative that the former Japanese Prime Minister is offering is quite simple. Rather than focusing on Ukraine, Japan needs to be much more worried about its immediate neighborhood and stability therein. If China's rise is not contained and Beijing secures a friend of the size and scale of Russia, Japan's security interests will end up taking a big hit. Russia and Japan have been working to resolve their dispute over the Kuril Islands. They have also been keen at enhancing bilateral cooperation. The Ukraine crisis, however, reverted all the gains made in the past few months. Once again paying heed to Shinzo Abe's advice, Tokyo needs to begin the process of making it known to Russia that it has a friend in the form of Japan. Russia will dump China at the first opportunity it gets. Japan needs to ensure that it offers itself as an alternative to Russia. Moscow needs a strong economy by its side, and if it knows it has a friend like Japan, it would not need China. Putin will dump China without blinking an eye, and Tokyo will emerge as a formidable anchor of stability in the Indo-Pacific. Interestingly, Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has come out and spoken against the Biden administration as well. Abe lambasted the Biden administration for laying out all its cards before Russia, which included a promise not to use military force against Moscow in the event it invades Ukraine. Abe said, but this was probably a mistake in terms of diplomatic strategy. The stability of the world community is maintained with the overwhelming military power of the US, as well as the sense of danger that there is no telling what sort of retaliation one would invite by doing something bad. The United States must never quickly make clear that we won't do anything. Shinzo Abe is actually signaling to the current government in Tokyo that Joe Biden is not a man to be trusted. Therefore, Japan needs to form independent ties with Russia and not let the Biden administration get in the way of the same. A Sino-Russian alliance needs to be prevented at all costs, and Japan needs to do all it can to ensure that Moscow and Beijing bonhomie ends as soon as possible.